Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be in the world today. We're getting our Final Fantasy XIV stream started. We're going to make a push to see if we can complete the Crafters and Gatherers stories today, and then see what progress we can make on the main story through the patches. We're around 6.3 now, I believe, on the main story. So we'll see where we end up. Anyways, we're going to start off with Fisher. They are not quite max level, but they still have a level 88 story to do. We did the level 88 stories 2 days ago, and we're going to continue on here with Fisher and see if we can get the level 90 stories knocked out for everybody too. Oh, hello there. I've been racking my brains trying to come up with new ideas. Alas, nothing has come to me thus far. No matter how much I ponder, I keep coming back to the same thought. I have to get my hands on some specimens from a time before Zodiark came to be. I simply can't accept that all the work we have put into confirming my theory might amount to naught in the end. You know what? Give me any idea you've got, no matter how outlandish it may seem. Please, Anne, I am in dire need of inspiration. So all you need is an ancient fish, right? Oh, but you... Wait. Do you truly mean it? As a scholar, I would love to probe deeper into the details of exactly how you mean to do this, but this is hardly the time for idle chatter. If you can indeed procure this sample for me, I beg of you, please do it. Why, this could very well be the solution to what I thought an insurmountable problem. Ideally, I would examine an ancient specimen that shares some common traits with creatures that still exist today. Reading through Professor Nulla's tomes, I remember thinking that a species called the Smaragdos would be perfect. Just leave it to me, I can go do that. I know not where you mean to find them, but I wish you safety and good fortune in your journey, Anne. Hey, thank you for the hydrate, too. Yum yum. Studium delivery commenced. Use a sky spoon lure from Leith in Elpis. Alright, well let's try that. I think we've got sky spoon lures, or do we? I don't remember. See what we have available here. Maybe not. Well, let's see. Can we get them here, or do we have to buy them? I can't remember. Let's see. Materials and misc, I guess. Let's see. Bait. Tokens. There they are, Sky Spoon lures. Alright, we'll get about 4 of those, I guess. Make sure I didn't have any more sitting around somewhere. Nope, that looks like it. Alright, let's go to Anagnorisis and head northeast from there to Leith. And we need to turn on collectible, I believe. We should do that. And just anywhere in here should be fine. Just plop down here. Oh, who's this guy? Ooh, interesting. Alright, well, maybe we'll just make sure we stay a little ways away from him then. Just in case. Alright. Let's see here. So, we should be able to fish up 6 Smaragdos. And remember to use our identical cast. There's one. All right. Let's get that done. Identical cast. And this should be good for our second one. That's a nice one. All right. Do that cycle 2 more times. Get 2 more pairs, in other words, and we should be good. See what else we fish up in the meantime, too. Yeah, that's going to be a different one if we catch it. We can use it to desynthesize and get our cooking desynthesis up there. Boost it a little more. I think we caught those just over to the east there in the lower Hungering Gardens before. There we go. All right, that's 3. Let's make it 4. There we go, 4 down. Catch us 1 more to do another pair and we should be good to go. And we'll see if the experience we get will push us up to 90 or not. If not, we'll do just a little bit of fishing to get us to 90 so we can do the Fishing 90 quest. Find an easy lead quest we can do or something that'll do it. Here we go. All right. Let's identical cast that one, and that'll finish us off here. Alrighty, good to go. Let's go see what that does experience-wise for us. Someday, when I am done with my thesis, you will have to tell me all about how you seemingly can do the impossible. And the answer is yes, got to 90, all right. Are my eyes to be believed? An actual smaragdus, and it's even more impressive than anything I saw in my books. I know not how you accomplished this, Anne, but you have my eternal gratitude. Ah, Anne, I've just finished my preliminary analysis of the smaragdus, and needless to say, it has proved truly fascinating. Incidentally, I recently overheard some of the senior members of the faculty discussing the days before the world was sundered. This led me to wondering just how far back you traveled. I have long heard rumors of a collective of goblin scientists who were attempting to traverse the fabric of time itself. To be honest, I always thought it a mere jest. But is it possible you used such a method to journey into the past yourself? But I will not ask you to reveal your secrets, not now. You have provided me with exactly what I need to break this impasse in my research, and I must seize the opportunity. Okay. At any rate, examining the relative states of the Smaragdos's scales, it appears quite evident that the levels of ether in the underwater currents fluctuated regularly, even in those pre-Zodiac days. That said, the shifts in the concentration appear much gentler compared to the present day. I suspect that the inflated ether levels of the moon caused by the presence of Zodiac are the key to explaining this change. Put simply, these recent incidents have a manifestation of ether levels returning to how they once were so very long ago. Frankly, I should be elated. This effectively proves my hypothesis correct. However, something does not sit right with me. I feel like I must do more than just identify what is happening. How can I sit around here in my office poring over specimens and tomes while these poor sea creatures are suffering? The next whale might very well come ashore to its doom like the fish in Thavnair. Oh, thank you for coming, Professor Nulla. I am most pleased to say that with Anne's help, I believe I've finally been able to finish my thesis. Is this to say that you truly were able to obtain a specimen from ancient times? Impressive. Yes, most impressive indeed. Truth be told, the senior faculty of the studium have been aware of this form of travel for some time now. Sadly, as much as I argued your case, I was strictly forbidden from granting you access to it. Fortunate you are to have Anne at your side. With your diligence and aptitude, and her unparalleled gleaning skills, I am expecting greater and greater things from your thesis. I knew it! So, if I am promoted to full professorship, I might gain access to that knowledge as well? Then I must work even harder toward that goal. And yet, at the same time, I find myself with a dilemma. Is it not selfish of me to focus entirely on my own research at a time like this? Is it not my duty as a scholar to help in a more concrete manner? Very astute questions, those, and questions for which you must find your own answer. Of course, none would object if you were to publish your findings. You've done more than enough to support up-and-coming researchers at the Studium, and your work will doubtless prove a fine starting point for any who wish to explore the subject further. There are plenty of academics who are driven wholly by their own curiosity, who devote their entire lives to their studies and research for its own sake. However, there is also demand for another type of researcher, one who uses their findings to seek out tangible solutions to the problems of our world. Your research has brought you face to face with innocent creatures in peril and united you with a brave companion who has traveled to the edge of the world and beyond for you. It is little surprise that you might find new motivation from their presence. Yet, at the end of the day, it is your choice to make. You must decide what inspires you most as a scholar. That is all I can say. What a great mentor. As always, Professor Nulla has given me much to ponder. Up until now, I'd simply enjoyed solving the mysteries of the world through my research. Only now have I begun to realize there may be more to it than that. Forgive me, but I would like to consider the matter further. Might I be able to count on your aid once my mind is made up? I swear, I feel there are no limits to what I might achieve as long as you're by my side. No problem. I am now a fantastic fisher. And we did do some offline, so we got our, or some of the, at least the body pieces for our gatherers. Oh, Miner and Botanist are up to 90 now, so we can do their stories also. Did the same thing for crafters. All of our crafters are up to 90, except for alchemists. They're just a little short, but maybe I think we'll be able to get them without too much trouble later on. But we've got enough classes leveled to 90 where we can at least do the stories for those. Well, let's start off with the Fisher level 90 quest then, since that one is a little more random, I guess, depending on how quickly we catch whatever it is we need to catch. All right, let's see. Ah, Anne, always a pleasure to see you. I fear I haven't quite made up my mind regarding the issue we discussed last time. Please don't be overly concerned. I fully intend to finish writing my thesis for the upcoming conference. At the same time, I can't stop thinking about what Professor Nulla said. In fact, I was just thinking I'd head to Tranquility to be alone with my thoughts for a while. Would you mind joining me a bit later? An exchange of ideas might do me well. All right, buddy, let's see here. Oh, that's just over here. All righty. Ah, thank you for coming. It looked like he was just taking a dump behind the tree or something. Do you recall how Professor Nulla encouraged me to consider what path would most inspire me? I was thinking it over, and it occurred to me, had I not met you, I doubtless would have continued to use my ether sickness as an excuse to stay cooped up in the studium forever. Likely I would have succumbed to the weight of expectations and given up on my research entirely. Thanks to you, however, I was able to obtain the data I had so long sought, and now my thesis is nearly complete. For that, you have my eternal thanks. And yet, I am now struck with the profound feeling that I must do more. I must seek even greater heights. I suspect my colleagues would laugh me out of the room if they heard this, but I have a mind to obtain data from the moon itself. If I can only get my hands on that, I'm confident that I could find a way to stabilize the ether currents, and in doing so, save the poor creatures of the sea from their suffering. Yes, this is no time to rest on my laurels. There is so much more that must be done. Of course, I'll hardly be able to accomplish this on my own. What do you say? Will you lend me your help one last time? Oh, but of course. Oh, thank you. I promise that this will be the last request I make of you. As for precisely what I would have you procure, this is where it gets a bit complicated. Normally, I would reference the tomes in Numenon, but as one might expect, none of them cover the ecosystem of the moon. Perhaps you might seek advice with those who reside in Mare Lamentorum. If anyone could tell you what's worth catching, I suppose it would be them. Okay. In the meanwhile, I shall focus on writing my thesis. I cannot wait to see what sort of exotic specimen you find for me this time. Yeah, let's go to Best Ways Burrow. That sounds like a good idea. Here I come, knowledgeable Loperit. Well, hello there, Anne. Whatever brings you here today? You don't say. That strikes me as a rather curious thing to be researching, but to each their own, I suppose. At any rate, I do believe the most representative specimen of the aquatic ecosystem here is a fish we call the lunar lamenter. They're quite plentiful in the waters of Vallis vulneris. They're known to have a fondness for gray worms, which we suspect is one reason they taste so atrocious. Believe me, you won't find any of our chefs complaining if you take home your fair share. That said, it's most surprising to hear that the destruction of Zodiark has impacted your world so. Do be careful down there, yes? Alright, let's see, I think we may have some gray worms already. Yep. When we were leveling up our fisher, I think we got those. Alright, well let's head over to the fishing hole. Where am I going? I need to go south. There we go. Get myself turned around here. Hey, Argus. And there looks like our cave dead ahead. All right, this should be the place. Good. It detects that the mark is here. Let's see if we get one. A lunar lamenter. A good sign that it waited so long, but we didn't catch it. Oh, it's too bad. Of course, I don't have my new level 90 fishing rod either. But that body gear should be good enough, I think. And I didn't bother getting the accessories because they just add GP. And I don't really need the extra GP here. What's the word? Yeah, lunar lamenter, good. All right, let's go turn that bad boy in. You're back. I'd love nothing more than for you to regale me with tales of the moon, but before that, do I smell what I think I smell? Oh, I need to desynth some fish. Incredible! So this is the sort of creature that dwells in the lunar seas. I can't wait to dig in and start examining it. While there's no telling until I see the data, I'm quite confident that this discovery will allow me to revise my theory and complete my thesis. I'll be making my presentation at Phenomenon, but to be honest, I've never been very good at talking in front of the senior faculty. Might you be so kind as to come sit in the audience? Just knowing that I had a friend among the audience would go a long way to putting my heart at ease. Normally, only the faculty and students are allowed to attend such events, but I'll have a word with the administrators. Given all you've contributed to my research, I can see no reason you shouldn't be permitted to attend, plus the fact that I saved the world. I think it's the least they could do for the Warrior of Light. Ah, you must be Professor Talakatia's guest. Please, go right in. I do believe your friend's presentation is about to get underway. Thank you for assembling here today, everyone. I am Talakatia, an associate professor here in the Faculty of Etherology, and today I would like to present some recent findings from my research on ether currents. Deep breaths, Talaka. Deep breaths. Relax. My presentation is entitled Ether Tide, on the waxing and waning of ether levels in underwater currents. Simply put, my hypothesis was thus: the world's underwater ether ebb and flow in tandem. When the concentration of ether drops in one area, it rises in another. This phenomenon repeats itself periodically. Long did I believe this was so, but never was I able to accumulate sufficient data to prove it for certain. This all changed recently thanks to the talents of a truly remarkable gleaner who risked life and limb to gather the samples I needed. In the course of my research, however, I also discovered many things which I had never imagined at the outset. First and foremost among these was the ether Zodiac exerted upon those self-same currents. Now, as you all know, Zodiac is no more. As such, ether levels have temporarily fluctuated across our entire star as the etheric state of our world gradually readjusts to how it was in the days of yore, before Zodiac came into being. Having had the fortune recently to analyze some samples obtained from the lunar surface, it has become apparent that this fluctuation in ether levels was at its most dramatic during a full moon. We have reason to suspect that the recent incident with the wayward whale was also caused by the selfsame phenomenon. In other words, a sudden change in the local ether levels caused it to suffer from symptoms akin to severe ether sickness. Needless to say, this would be all mere speculation if it were not corroborated by concrete data. To that end, kindly turn to page 14 in the booklets I have handed out and take a moment to peruse the chart on that page. Quite fascinating. Many scholars stubbornly stick to their initial convictions despite the circumstances, but you have clearly taken even the most recent developments into consideration in fleshing out your thesis. Admirable indeed. You are too kind, Professor, and yet there is more I would share. Utilizing my own findings in combination with some alchemical techniques I learned from my colleagues in Thavnair, I do believe I have crafted a spell that might help to stabilize the underwater ether currents. More so than my academic findings, I believe this to be my greatest accomplishment. Isolating the relationship between the moon and the underwater ether currents was an important first step, no doubt, but helping those suffering creatures will be of far greater import in the end. Our planet is currently in a state of transition. I suspect the imbalance in ether levels will continue for quite a while still. And so, I intend to do everything in my power to minimize the effects of this on both beast and man until our etheric environment stabilizes and returns to normal. Thank you, Talakatia. We shall inform you of your evaluation in due time. In the meanwhile, pray continue to attend to that poor beast in the harbor. We wish you the best of luck. Thank you, Professor. Yay! Good job. There you are. I simply had to tell you before anyone else. My colleagues couldn't stop praising my thesis. And to say I could never have gotten to this day without your help would be an understatement. Not only have I secured more funding to continue my research, but I've also been promoted to a full-fledged tenured professor. I simply cannot believe that the day has come that I can wear this prestigious gown. Why, I've dreamed of this since the very first day I set foot in the studium. It looks good on you. Oh, you're far too kind. I've still a long way to go before I'd be worthy of this garb in the way that, say, Professor Nulla is. I always believed in Talaka's potential, but I dare say he would have been hard-pressed to fulfill it were it not for his fortuitous meeting with you, Anne. For that, I, too, owe you my thanks. Oh, and this is neither here nor there, really, but I received some rather delightful news recently from the Faculty of Medicine. It would seem the professor there who was researching methods for treating the whale has developed an experimental medicine that can lessen the effects of ether sickness. Even more fortunately, it is said to work even better on men than on beasts. Yes, with this new medicine at my disposal, I can finally take responsibility for my own field work and stop forcing generous gleaners such as yourself to travel in my stead. Just think of all the places I'll go. Distant lands, the open sea, why, maybe even the moon. I simply can't wait to really stretch my legs and explore the world. And with that, I'd best be off, but this isn't for farewell, not by a long shot. I have no doubt our paths will cross again somewhere upon some distant sea. I thank you once again for everything, my friend. Goodbye, big fishy. I'm standing here in this new gown, but to be honest, it still hasn't all sunk in. Congratulations, Talakatia. You have come far indeed, and you've earned every bit of it through your diligence and dedication. And glad I am for it. For now, I've seen you realize the potential I always knew you had. I can finally retire with my heart at ease. Retire? Professor Nulla, what are you saying? No need to act so surprised. I've been considering it for quite some time now. I'm no spring chicken, and there's little reason for me to cling to my position when promising researchers like you wait in the wings. Of course, I will continue to share my experiences with you if you so desire, but finding that which most inspires you and pursuing it with all of your body and soul, this is something you must do for yourself. I have already imparted all I can. You were able to find this in yourself, in no small part through your chance encounter with Anne. I was happy to be there for you along the way, but I dare say you will fare well enough without me. But, Professor, the future of etherology is bright indeed as long as young talents like yourself continue your research here. And so, I very much look forward to hearing of your myriad achievements as I enjoy my golden years. And if you're ever in need of conversation, pray visit that we might muse about the mysteries of the world, not as teacher and student, but as colleagues and friends. That would be delightful, Professor. I could not have asked for a greater parting gift than your vote of confidence. And thank you once again, Anne. I will be continuing my research here at the Studium, so do stop by whenever you would care to talk etherology with a friend. Likewise, I look forward to hearing even more about your adventures and the far-flung lands you've been exploring. And perhaps if you happen to come across any exotic species of fish, you could snag one or two for me, just for old time's sake. Perception. Here we go. Considers me a master fisher. That's nice. All right, let's go do our miner and botanist story now. We have recently amassed so much data for the professor's research, I cannot imagine where we will turn our attention to next. Good, you're here. There is something I wish to discuss with you both. I will be informing the studium that my research has concluded. What? But why? My apologies for keeping this from you, but my research had an ulterior motive. It was, in fact, part of a contingency plan devised by the Forum. That plan being mass exodus to another star. The true goal was to determine what cultures were worthy of preservation and how said preservation might be accomplished. I don't understand. Are you saying the Forum had resigned itself to abandoning this world? That's right. I'm afraid so. Yet the fact remains that culture can only survive and thrive through the people who share in it. Any knowledge we might feasibly preserve now is no different from the myriad tomes collecting dust in the halls of the studium. Which is why, apart from research being conducted in Labyrinthus, we were tasked with finding suitable cultural elements we might actively preserve for those in the future. Makes sense. And it was during our most recent endeavor that I found my answer to this great conundrum. Hence, there is no need for further research. I need simply summarize our findings in my thesis. My sincere thanks to you both for all your hard work. Truly, the pleasure was all mine. A pity our work must come to an end. Yes, well, did you have any plans for after our research was finished? I cannot say that I do. Our work together has been so engaging I could scarcely think of aught else. In fact, it has been quite some time since I paid visit to my parents. Which reminds me, they said they found a new suitor when last we spoke. Something to look forward to on the voyage home, I suppose. A suitor? Gods, am I too late? If only she had stayed a short while longer. What do I do now? I was hoping she would accompany me on my next venture, research of a ceremony of sorts. I say research, but it's more of a, Oh, Tankin, such roundabout thinking is how you got yourself into this mess. My recent endeavors together with Hinegeshi have made me realize just how much she means to me. I realize the foolishness of harboring these unrequited feelings, but I can contain them no longer, which is precisely why I need to propose. It's about time. I appreciate your enthusiasm, though I don't understand why you're so moved by my proclamation. But before I propose, it would be prudent to learn how she feels about the matter, and for that I require your help. Though I understand if you would rather not involve yourself in such a personal matter. Don't worry, the game designers want me to do it, so I'll do it. You will help me? Truly, then perhaps hope is not yet lost. You see, my plan was to fashion an eternity ring. I wished for it to be something memorable, which is why I would ask you to procure materials for the ring from the place where Hinegeshi and I first worked together, Labyrinthus. I shall see to the rest, and have hopefully steeled my nerves in the interim. Near Merrill Agronomics. All right. Let's go gather something. We just need one chunk of Eternity Ring material. All right, Merrill Agronomics is which one over here, I think? Yep. Just south of that etherite. All right, well, let's just fly over there. maybe these trees down here, or underbrush, or whatever it is that we farm. Let's see if this should be it, I think. Oh, maybe not. It's level 85. Let's see what we got. Oh, it is. Okay. This is where it is. Eternity Ring material. 1 Eternity Ring material coming up. And we'll get some wind crystals for the heck of it. And just back into town. Yeah. Have you found something suitable? I do not mean to rush you, but I fear time is not on our side. Here you go, 1 piece of Eternity Ring material. Thank you! Now to set about fashioning the ring. Before you go, may I ask one last favor of you? Please deliver this letter to Hinegeshi. And I haven't even done the post-Moogle quests, and I'm already a delivery person. Let's see, down there near Scholars Harbor. I can still hardly believe our work with Professor Tankin is over. It was foolish of me to grow so attached, I know, but I've never been so happy as when I'm with him. A part of me wishes he felt the same, that we might have grown closer in the short time we had together. Well, as a matter of fact, alas, life rarely lives up to expectations, but thank you again for all your help. I had better be going now. Hang on just a second, here's a letter for you. A letter? From the professor? It says he wishes to discuss his future works with the studium and that I am to return immediately. But he should be readying his thesis. Whatever could be so urgent? Only one way to find out, I suppose. You delivered the letter? Good. Now I but need wait for her arrival. Oh, look at all the outfits back there. Sorry to keep you waiting, Professor. You can do it. Come on, Tankin. Thank you for returning on such short notice. You see, there is something I must tell you. To be brief, how should I say this? Oh, come on. You noted in your missive that you wish to discuss future matters with me. Have you perchance decided on another subject of study? No, not exactly. You see, Hinegeshi, I would like to officially list you as the lead author of my current thesis. Naturally, this will require you to contribute extensively to its composition as well. A fine opportunity for you to put forth writings of your own as well. You would trust me with the position of lead author? I would be honored, of course, but it was you who did most of the work. I could not possibly steal the plaudits you so rightfully earned. Nonsense. I have learned so much from you over the course of our research. It would be nigh fraudulent of me to take all the credit. Is that so? I had no idea. Well, I'm afraid I must disappoint you, Professor Tankin, for I cannot stay. Huh? My parents have completed arrangements for me to meet with this new suitor they've found, and so I must return home at once. You shall do nothing of the sort. Professor, please. There is still plenty of time until the thesis must be submitted, correct? Surely it can stand to wait until I've met with... The thesis is not what concerns me, Hinegeshi. It's, didn't you prepare a gift for her? Yes, of course. If not for you, I fear my nerves would have gotten the better of me. Thank you. Our work together has taught me a most valuable lesson. It is not an environment that makes a home, but rather the people one shares it with. And in time, those people may form the deepest of bonds. Hinegeshi, the time we've spent together has been the happiest of my life, and I do not wish for it to end. Say that you will stay with me, that we may enjoy the simple pleasures of life together, one day at a time. Professor Tankin, I don't know what to say. You are well within your rights to refuse if that is your want. Should you choose instead to be bonded with this suitor of yours, I will not stop you. Bonded? Whatever are you talking about? Did you not say your parents found you a suitor? Oh, no, you have it all wrong, Professor. The suitor is not for me. It's a business partner. For my parents. Okay. Your parents? You did know that my parents are both botanists, yes? They were recently introduced to a potential financial supporter who also wished to know more of my research interests. I thought it an opportunity to secure funding for our next venture, and so I agreed to meet with him. Our next venture? Of course. You won't be getting rid of me so easily, Professor. There is still so much for us to see, so much to do. Then, does this mean you have accepted my proposal? Proposal? I'm not sure I follow. And may I ask why you have that ring? Well, you see, this ring is used in the ceremony of eternal bonding, and I was hoping you might join me in a recreation of the ceremony. A recreation? Absolutely not. Then let this be the first of many real experiences together. Hinegeshi, will you join me in the ceremony of eternal bonding? I thought you would never ask. Oh, wow. Snatched that ring out of his hand. I know not what the future holds, but so long as we are together, I know our days will be filled with joy and happiness. A lifetime of new experiences and endless possibilities. All right. That's nice. All right. It's about time those two got together. This was all so sudden. If you told me this was a dream, I might be inclined to believe you. Nevertheless, it gladdens me to know we will continue living together as we are. Though a small change of pace now and again would not be a terrible idea. Perhaps we'll take a trip once our thesis is dealt with. Ah, speaking of trips, we will have to pay a visit to my parents first and foremost. A splendid idea. I had a feeling you'd think so. But before all of that, I wish to thank you for helping to complete our great work and, more importantly, for bringing the two of us together. I believe I speak for both of us when I say you have our eternal gratitude. And more perception. There we go. We are now a master matchmaker. And that's all the gatherers. We have completed all the gatherers. All right, let's move on. Go carpenter here with our new crafting gear on. We don't have the primary and secondary tools yet for level 90, but we have all the body pieces and the accessories. Level 90. Thanks to you, the completion of the star lens is in sight. Without you by my side, I would have no doubt given up before the journey even began. And I speak not just of finding the azure star, but also confronting Jeremir as to why he quit astronomy. Words are not enough to express my gratitude. Now here we stand at the finish line, and I have one last request to make of you. Channeling magic into the star lens requires a wand. Would you please craft one for me? All right. Let me at it. Thank you. Here's the material. Should you ever find yourself short on materials, please help yourself to whatever is in the trunk. That's great. All right, star lens wand, high quality. Let's see, what is that? 2625. Let's do a test here and see if our all-purpose macro here pushes us along to that one. Good, that should be fine. Not too much, not too little. Yep, that'll be easy to do. All right, let's do it. Have you finished crafting the final piece? I have indeed, Jude. It's absolutely perfect. Now that I have the necessary parts, all that's left to do is search for the Azure Star. When that time comes, might I be so bold as to ask you to join me? There is also one other individual I wish could be there. That being said, there is no guarantee that the Azure Star even exists. I do not wish to disappoint them again. Even so, I would like to search the skies once again with Jeremir. After all, it is a dream we shared for a decade. Not at least asking would be a form of betrayal in itself. That's true. Given the time, he is most likely at Ox Landing reciting poetry with his friends. As soon as I finish putting everything together, I will go straight there. Please, wait with Jeremir for me at Ox Landing. All right, let's go. Ah, it's you again. I apologize, but we have nothing more to discuss. You may have nothing more to say, but I have plenty. Jude. The star lens that Anne and I have been working on is now complete. It would mean the world to me if you came to watch me begin my search for the Azure Star. I'm sorry, Jude. I'm afraid that is something I cannot do. What do you mean you cannot? This is your childhood friend we're talking about. You should go with him. If the Azure Star truly doesn't exist, isn't it your duty to be by his side when he learns the truth? You don't understand. I searched for a decade for that star. It is nowhere to be found. A decade? Surely you jest. What an absolute waste of time that was. Ha! To think you were this close to throwing out all the best years of your life, chasing a figment of your imagination. If such a thing existed, the top academics in the Faculty of Astronomy would have already found it. Did you not even take that into consideration? By the gods, you must be even dumber than a sack of rocks. You... How dare you speak such atrocities? Huh? Are you talking to me? You, nor anyone else, has the right to ridicule us. Threaten and laugh at me all you like. You will not strip me of my dream. Then maybe what you need is some sense knocked into you. Not while I'm here. I'd strongly recommend against that. You see that craftswoman there? She's an adventurer from overseas and certainly not someone you want to pick a fight with. Even you don't stand a chance. That's right, I'll one-shot you, buddy. You better stay back. Huh, you'd best watch your back. Jude, in all our years together, I don't think I've ever seen you so upset, much less speak up the way you did. I'll admit I surprised myself a little. My heart is still pounding. I just couldn't let it go when I thought about everything you had invested. The audacity he has to utter such words. I lived, ate, and breathed that dream. When I discovered there was no hope of fulfilling it, the despair that overcame me was beyond words. I felt worthless. That is why I could say nothing earlier. Even if some of the members of the poetry club are a little rough around the edges, this is the only place I have. When we were children and I was crying because I did not fit in with the others, you invited me to join you in stargazing. You gave me a place to belong in this world. And now I'm asking you to join me in that place once more, gazing up at the skies. Very well, but this will be it for me, Jude. Then let us make our way to Scholar's Harbor. I must first return to the workshop and retrieve the star lens, so I will meet the two of you there. To think that Jude has changed so drastically and in such a short span of time. It seems what he needed was not someone to take him by the hand, but rather coax him forward from behind. All right, now let's go wait at the designated location. Down at Scholar's Harbor. Hello, Jeremiah. And there we go. Let us begin then. Wow, cool. So this is the star lens. It doesn't look like much. Are you kidding me? That looks pretty awesome. "10 years ago, on that fateful day, we were attempting to observe the constellations aligning with the fifth heaven's gate. I will begin by positioning the star lens in the same manner. Incredible! Absolutely incredible! The stars can be seen with such clarity. However, the azure star we saw back then does not shine among them. Not that I expected anything different. After all, one cannot see, even with state-of-the-art technology, that which does not exist. You did well, Jude. The star lens is quite an impressive piece of work. Wait! It is for this exact reason the amplifier exists. Or do we need more? I can help you. Come on, Jeremiah, you too. Yeah, there we go. Jude, I want to believe it exists just as much as you, but... It exists! It's there somewhere, right before our very eyes. Please reveal to us your brilliance once more, just as you did 10 years ago. Yes! All right. Jerome, look! It's real. It truly does exist. We didn't imagine it. It's real. Why did I give up so easily? Jude, you are extraordinary. Oh. And it is all thanks to you that our decade of hard work did not go to waste. Which reminds me, did you see where Jeremiah wandered off to? He was with us when we entered the studium grounds. Ah, yes, this feels much better. Now that's more like the Jeremiah I know. And wouldn't you agree this style suits him better? It looks good. Thank you. I've finally come to realize that simply transforming my appearance does not change who I am on the inside. But that is neither here nor there. What I wish to talk about is the Azure Star. There is something about it that has been niggling at the back of my mind. How is it you succeeded with an ancient lens made of water where the latest, most advanced equipment of the studium failed? Ah, of course! The star lens allows us to see by capturing not the light of the stars, but their ether, correct? I see. You believe that due to how far away the Azure Star resides from us, a traditional telescope would have trouble capturing the light it emits. The star lens, meanwhile, can capture an image of its ether, the very life force of the star. I can scarcely imagine how much further our technology must advance for telescopes to perceive such distant celestial bodies. Strange, then, that we were able to see the Azure Star all those years ago. How do you suppose we accomplished such a feat? At the time, we were using a toy crafted for children. The lens, contrary to proper telescopes, was made from low-quality crystal. The ether of that crystal lens is likely what allowed us to pick up on the star's glow. But after we reported what we saw, the Faculty of Astronomy conducted their own observations under similar, if not identical, conditions and found nothing. What if the intensity of its ethereal emissions is prone to periodic fluctuations? An ethereal cycle, if you will. It stands to reason that that night 10 years ago, the Azure Star had reached its peak. A brief, miraculous window wherein the star's ether was such that we could catch a glimpse with our crystal lens telescope. Incredible, as always, Jeremiah. You've always been very sharp. Sharp or not, my abilities pale in comparison to your sheer drive, Jude. Thanks to said drive, we have rediscovered an alternate means of viewing stars in the night sky. And if your theory is correct, then that means there are far more stars out there than we ever even suspected waiting to be discovered. It would certainly seem that way. This may very well revitalize and revolutionize the field of astronomy. Then let us continue working together to find them, Jeremiah. Let us continue to breathe life into the dreams of those two young boys from 10 years ago. Jude, you forget I am no longer with the Faculty of Astronomy. In case you've already forgotten, I'm a rather persistent fellow. I waited this long. I can stand to wait a bit longer for your return. I cannot argue with that. Never did I think when we began this journey that it would come to such a spectacular end. Thank you once again, Anne. While our time together was short, it was incredibly fruitful. I am devastated to have to say goodbye. We, however, shall continue to reside under the same stars. When I want to remember our time together, I will simply look to the skies. I pray we meet again. You shall always remain a treasured and true friend of mine. The fires of Ifrit, nay, the Phoenix, have taken up residence in my heart, where they will continue to burn forevermore. He really should join the poetry club too. And we'll take control. We are now a treasured and trusted friend. Right. Next, let's move on to, I guess blacksmith will do. Oh, Borik's gone. Ah, and fortuitous timing as ever. As you can see, Borik has yet to return to the workshop. To be honest, it has been somewhat lonely here without him. For a mercy, I have managed to make progress with the Golden Diada by way of a rather curious discovery. Initially, I thought to leave her be, fearful of damaging the parts you've labored so hard to provide, but then curiosity got the better of me. I dismantled her yet again, but this time I discovered a black stone inside, a connector of some sort coiled about it. Any ideas what it might be? Is that an Allagan tombstone? Ah, an Allagan tombstone, you say? It doesn't have the customary patterns of a tombstone, but the texture is certainly similar. Based on where we found her, I very much doubt our friend here was created in the third astral era. No, the fifth astral era is much more likely. Perhaps even the beginning of the sixth. It is entirely possible the people of that age, after unearthing Allagan relics, repurposed the technology, or perhaps they merely drew inspiration from Allagan designs in their work. If this was meant to store records, which I believe it does, I would have expected it to serve as her core, much like the mammoths of Ul'dah. However, the Golden Diada's core has an altogether different function, which is why I suspect the stone and whatever knowledge is stored within it is meant to supplement the core, hence the connector I found wrapped around it. Tell me, little one, just what secrets are you hiding? And would you be able to fashion a new connector for her? The one I found attached to the stone is clearly not working as intended. Excuse me. Honestly, what would I do without you? Let's not waste any time then. We must finish our work before Professor Namono convinces the studium to hold that inquiry. This may very well be the last request I ask of you, so please, any materials you require, but ask and I will see to the rest. And we figured we could use our all-purpose macro here, so let's do that. Alright, finish that off. Here you go, Rurusha. Pray, make that gold connector as quickly as possible. Ask and ye shall receive. Excellent, the connector is in place. Now, we need but insert the stone and see how she responds. Hey, welcome back, Bork. Professor Rurusha. Bork, so good to see you. If you're come to apologize, don't. You're here now, and that's all that matters. No, that's not it. I mean, yes, I am sorry for being away so long, but... I came to apologize, Professor. I signed the petition for your inquiry. Your research is leading you nowhere, Professor, and I thought it better you resign than tarnish your legacy with this final project. So I signed the petition, and now Professor Namono has the signatures he needs to submit his petition. It was only after I signed that I realized my mistake. If that relic yet holds secrets of a bygone era, it is our duty to find them. But now we may never have that chance. Oh, look at the timing. I take it you have heard the good news. Professor Namono. The faculty are ready to hold their inquiry, Professor. I suggest you make your way to Learner's Meet, lest you miss the ending of your own career. You two may as well come along too. The more the merrier, as they say. Always in a hurry, that one. He really must learn how to relax. Bork, would you be a dear and do me a favor? I wish to finish fitting this part to the golden diada. Once finished, I am positive we will learn all we need to know, but I need you to delay the inquiry, if only for a short time. No need to worry. I suspect it won't be long before the old girl stirs to life this time. Go ahead with Bork and wait for me at Learner's Meet. All right. Where were they? Why am I not seeing them here? Oh, it's just right down the hall here. Silly me. All right. It's just right down the hall. I thought they were going to go to the rostrum, go to the forum or something. All right, there we go. What's this? Only the two of you? You're not going to tell me that the great Professor Rurusha took the coward's way out and fled, are you? No, no, her legs simply don't move as fast as they used to. Would you care for a cup of tea while we wait? Better yet, we could pay a visit to the last stand. Bork, we are far past the time for guilt and regret, would you not agree? But you needn't fret. I'll be sure to look after you. So please, there's no need to delay the inevitable. At any rate, all necessary parties to this inquiry will be here soon enough. Professor Rurusha's absence merely proves that she has no intention of defending herself. Now, let us make our way into the auditorium. Allow me to preface this hearing by stating that I have the utmost respect for you as a fellow academic, Professor Rurusha. However, given the support behind this recent petition, we have no choice but to consider the matter of your continued tenure here at the Studium. You stand accused of squandering Studium funds on the restoration of a relic of questionable origin. And she has refused time and time again to heed my requests to cease her activities. She is convinced that the relic in question is some sort of mammoth, but I have not witnessed it move, even in Ilm. What's more, the gleaner that found this so-called relic has a history of delivering counterfeits in the past. Isn't that right, Boric? Come now, Professor Namono, nobody's perfect. And for the 100th time, that mammoth is something special. You just need to be patient with her. Come on, little one, show them. Whoa, it can open doors. Am I seeing things? This proves nothing. How do we know you didn't ask this helper of yours to contrive a means for it to move on its own? Well, I suppose it falls on me to confirm as much. Tell me, did you do as Professor Namono suggests? I only made the parts required to restore it. She speaks the truth. Naturally, someone of her ability could doubtless make modifications to allow rudimentary movement, but I don't think even the best in her field could achieve this. Why, isn't that the tome I received from Professor Namono? As you may recall, the golden diada produced strange noises some time ago in our workshop. It was only until recently I realized those noises were syllables, and they matched those comprising the language found in this book. Now, my dear, would you kindly read an excerpt from the book? Oh, and please be certain to translate it into a language we can all understand. The serpent that sleeps in the deep slowly sheds its skin of old. I recognize that passage. It has something to do with magics that control the life stream. At least I would wager that's what the serpent represents. It aligns with everything my research has uncovered thus far. Then this relic is an ancient translation device, yes. And here I was convinced that Professor Rurusha had all but lost her critical faculties. Yet clearly it was I that was entirely in the wrong. I have been too quick to belittle the work of others, thinking only of what immediate benefit they might have to mine. A researcher should be inquisitive and reflective, but I have only been selfish and overly prideful. Please, allow me to extend my sincerest apologies. If anyone should be removed from their post, it is I. Oh, stop. You needn't be so dramatic. If not for your passion for linguistics, I would never have discovered the importance of this relic. Well, it would seem there is no further need for these proceedings. If I may make a suggestion, would you two consider working together? It is clear to me, at least, that such an arrangement would be mutually beneficial. Good idea. What a fantastic idea! I would love nothing more than to work alongside Professor Namono. Pray, allow me to thank you for helping Professor Rurusha with her research. Were it not for your intervention, I fear we may have committed a grave error and silenced a perfectly capable researcher along with her work. All's well that ends well, eh? Let's head back to Maker's Meet. I need to thank you properly for everything you've done. I thought I was acting in your best interests, but, well... Professor, I'm more than sorry than you'll ever know. Would you ever consider allowing me to work as your assistant once more? I'll give you all the time you need to decide. Listen, Boric, you don't need to apologize to me because nothing's changed between us. You never stopped being my assistant. And please, do yourself a favor and stop being so hard on yourself all the time. I couldn't ask for a better colleague. Though I suppose there is one thing you could do with learning: patience. Our work often takes time to bear results after all. Now, are you ready to get back to work? Oh, Professor! Ah, what a nice surprise. Are you here to ask for our little friend's help? Something like that, yes. The book I gave your assistant was merely an abridged compilation of works on ancient languages. What I have now are complete inscriptions of texts I am presently studying. I simply must know what is written here. I have spent far too long toiling away to decipher their contents to no avail. I'm all too familiar with that feeling. I suppose all researchers are spurred on by that thirst for answers. Perhaps said answers will even help with these recent anomalies in the live stream. I'm sure some of the other professors at the studium would love to hear your findings. Well, you two have certainly reconciled your differences quite quickly. Would that I could relinquish my worries so easily. Thank you once again, Anne. If you hadn't stuck around to help as long as you did, I might have lost an irreplaceable assistant and countless colleagues. And that is to say nothing of the huge academic leap forward we're about to make thanks to all your hard work. A gift I hope to repay with hard work of my own. When next you visit, I'll be sure to have a number of fascinating discoveries to share with you. Sounds good. I hope you're prepared, Boric. You have 2 professors to attend to now, so no more moping, all right? Oh, I'm quite sure he'll have no time for that. As I no longer have the resources required to hire additional help, you are my one and only assistant now, Boric, so do try to keep your wits about you. Oh dear, what have I gotten myself into now? Well, at least the subject matter is interesting. And take control again. A masterful relic restorer. And let's see, next would be Culinarian. Culinarian actually has their new level 90 primary and secondary tools. That's what I've been using to craft purple scripts. Let's see, here we go. This is it, Anne. The forum is ready to begin the evaluation process. We've worked tirelessly on perfecting our submission, and I have every confidence that Mervyn Bread will be the winning candidate. Come, let's make our way to the roastress, shall we? All right, yeah, let's go check out what's happening here. I know I said I was confident, but the thought of actually standing before the forum has my stomach all in knots. Courage, De Broye, courage. Esteemed colleagues, we have convened today to evaluate and select a suitable candidate for our proposed meal substitute. As previously discussed, this meal substitute will serve as an emergency provision, such as when our usual sources of food are restricted or otherwise unreliable. To be considered viable, a submission must satisfy our stipulated conditions. Namely, that it must be possible to prepare the meal using only the ingredients available in Labyrinthus, and that it also provides all the nutrients necessary to sustain day-to-day survival. Our first of two candidates is the Panaloaf, submitted by Professor Galvaroche, with whom I am sure you are all familiar. The second is Mervyn Bread, submitted by one Miss De Broye, a student of the Faculty of Medicine. Members of the Council of Culinary Assurance will select one of these candidates following a thorough nutritional analysis and trial consumption of the samples provided. Our analysis has determined that both submissions meet the basic nutritional requirements to qualify as meal replacement. And as they share the same nutritional value, the only consideration left to judge them upon is taste. Even being generous, it would be difficult to describe the flavor of Panaloaf as pleasing. Mervyn Bread, on the other hand, is a culinary delight. On the grounds of this assessment, Mervyn Bread is clearly the superior choice. I beg to differ. Yes, I admit that Panaloaf has little to offer in the way of gastronomic enjoyment. But have you considered the matter from the viewpoint of efficiency? Mervyn Bread's flavor requires the addition of specific sweeteners and oils, not to mention a particular variety of yeast, an involved process which demands excessive time and exertion. The recipe for a Panaloaf, however, was devised with simplicity in mind, allowing one to manufacture the same quantity of food with but a fraction of the effort. I implore you to reconsider your decision. After all, this is an emergency comestible we are discussing here, not some gourmet menu item. You raise a valid argument, Professor. We have indeed overlooked the question of efficiency. Should a situation arise that necessitates a supply of emergency rations, then ease of a manufacturer would certainly be a primary concern, and in that respect your Panaloaf holds a significant advantage. If I might offer an opinion, Master Flaugestert, to what do we owe this unexpected pleasure? Curiosity, mostly. I may be retired, but all this talk of a perfect meal piqued my interest. Wait, I know you. And I know your delicious Mervyn bread. It is an unfortunate fact that fine food is oft regarded with contempt here in Charlian. Many see the pursuit of gourmet cuisine as a trivial distraction, an inefficient use of one's precious time. Yet, when a tired researcher craves a refreshing cup of sweet tea, is it a question of simple desire? Or is it the body's way of signaling the lack of a certain nutrient? And what of the comfort afforded by those inefficient tastes and flavors? Surely we have all experienced the calm and reassurance provided by a hearty dish. The same principle can be observed with the soothing familiarity of home-cooked favorites. Why, when my academic cogitations are frustrated by some intractable problem, it is for that very soothing effect that I visit my beloved last stand. As such, I submit that taste plays a far greater role in our well-being than simple enjoyment. Imagine, if you will, a prolonged crisis, and then tell me which of these foods you would prefer to consume day after day after day. Faced with the struggle to survive, which of these meals would best serve to bolster your mental and emotional fortitude? To be perfectly honest, the very thought of eating panaloaf for more than a single day brings me to the edge of panic. Hardly a state one wishes to be in when dealing with a crisis. Yes, even when taking into account the additional effort required in its preparation, a satisfying meal is more like to contribute to a rational frame of mind, which, in the long run, may prove to be a more efficient benefit. Yeah, day after day, day after day. Now that all interested parties have made their arguments, the time has come to put the matter to a vote. The results speak for themselves. Panaloaf, 1 vote. Mervyn bread, 5 votes. Congratulations, Miss De Broya. Your submission has been accepted as Charlian's official emergency meal replacement recipe. He does not look happy. Professor, your research is still very much a part of... Well, that was a near thing, at least until our last stand supporter chimed in. I never knew he was a former member of the Forum. I'd say we can safely call this the end of the matter, although there is one last thing I would like to ask of you, Anne. Despite his rigid way of thinking, Professor Galvaroche is not a bad person. Perhaps I can make him a nice meal to soften the blow of his loss, with a little expert help. I'll get my apron. I knew you couldn't refuse. When you have a moment, come and meet me at the last stand. All right. Now, as for the professor's meal, I thought we might make him a serving of fish cakes, one of our local specialties. According to Master Dickon, Mervyn and Galvaroche used to eat them all the time during their student years. To prepare the fish cakes, you take a white fish and some onion and grind it all into a paste. Add milk and pepper and knead well, then sprinkle in the flour before rolling the mixture into oval shapes and frying them in boiling hot oil. You don't need the entire recipe. But I would like you to prepare the all-important fish paste. The rest of the dish you can leave to me. If you find yourself lacking in ingredients, Master Dickon has graciously agreed to provide us with whatever we need. Ask and ye shall receive. I'd pay to see you wipe the frown from that sour-faced grump. Right, let's get cooking. Alright, this one I need to check since we've got the we've got our new tools. Make sure we're not going to overcraft here. Do a test and see if it can still use this basic one. Yeah, that's pushing it up there quite a bit, isn't it? Let's see what happens here. Oh yeah, that's not going to work. Wait for that macro to finish out, I guess. And we'll just do basic crafting maybe. Let's see what happens if we just do some basic stuff here. And then let's see. Generation. Do 1 and maybe 2. Maybe is 3 gonna finish it off or no? Oh, okay. This is looking like a good way to do it, perhaps. We can even do another waste knot, can't we? If we have to, if we had to. And that should do it. Alright. We ought to be able to make that okay then. That's good. Got some help there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. How is your part of the recipe coming along? Perfect. This will be the ingredient which brings the whole dish together. I've already sent a message to Professor Galvaroche asking him to meet us here. Hopefully he hasn't eaten yet. Why did you send for me? To taunt me with your victory in the place which I care for the least? Of course not, sir. We only wanted to offer you this meal as a gesture of goodwill. Please, eat. Enjoy. That was good. They may be simple dishes, but Charlian does have its own local specialties. The art of quality cuisine was never wholly absent from our culture, despite what people think. I would never argue the importance of nutrition, but I believe what Master Jalvaz says is true. Enjoyment of a meal tends to encourage digestion, and thus a more efficient intake of nutrients. When I first proposed the recipe for Archon loaf, I did so with Mervyn in mind. He was always so focused on his research that he neglected his dietary needs, and I thought to devise a convenient yet nutritious source of sustenance. He was taken from me before I had the chance to complete it. I was grief-stricken, angry at the loss of my friend, and his gourmet lifestyle became the target of my rage. Though it pains me to admit it, he was responsible for his own actions. It was wrong of me to lay the blame on the thing he loved most. Loved too much, it seems. And after considering the arguments laid out at the evaluation, I am forced to recognize that taste is an integral part of my work. I shall begin research on a new perfect meal, one which will taste even better than your vaunted Mervyn bread. But Mervyn bread was never solely ours, Professor. It was your research and your panel loaf which provided the nutritional basis for our recipe. Anne and I simply improved the palatability while maintaining the balance which made it healthy in the first place. Mervyn bread is as much your creation as it is mine or Anne's, which is why I implore you to continue improving it. With your resources and expertise, there is no one better positioned to solve the recipe's lingering issues with inefficiency. In that case, I shall need an assistant. Together, you and I will test the boundaries of what is possible in the field of gourmet health cuisine. Speaking of fine foods, I do have one complaint about those fish cakes of yours. There were too few. I seem to recall the dish being much larger back when Mervyn and I used to eat them. Are there any more, perchance? Awesome. I do believe that was the first time I've seen the professor smile. I'm glad our fish cake special had the desired effect. But my work at both the Studium and the Last Stand has just begun. I have an entire city to convince of the benefits of fine dining. Fortunately, it seems the professor is on our side now. We can expect the laboratory's research to expand into taste-related fields, and as part of my ongoing mission, I will do my utmost to see that it succeeds. Ah, yes. This place is well suited to the study of flavor-based nutrition. We begin our research into more efficient preparation methods immediately. And here I thought my days of frantic baking were over. I'd better wash out my mixing bowl. Thank you for all your help, Anne. I could not have asked for a more perfect kitchen mate. Please do come and visit me from time to time, both at the Studium and as a valued patron of the Last Stand. You betcha. And take control yet again. And we are now a virtuoso baker. Now we have one final quest here. Let's do it as a miner. Doesn't matter. I still need to descent these fish. Let's do that while I'm thinking of it. Big break. That one I'm going to keep. That's one we were using for our what am I trying to say? For our culinarian when we were leveling up to 90. I may want to make another one of those for some more white scripts, perhaps, after a while. All right. The meeting of minds. Ah, and just who I was looking for. I wish to thank you for helping the students and staff from the various faculties. Their work has become the talk of the studium. You've made a real difference. Actually, while you're here, there's a pressing matter I wish to discuss. Having heard the many glowing accounts of your work, another official of the studium has requested an audience. Would you be able to spare time to speak with him? Wonderful. Then let us head to Learner's Meet. He should arrive any moment now. Let's take a seat. My apologies for keeping you waiting. Before we proceed, I wish to extend my sincerest thanks on behalf of the studium for all you have done to aid our faculty and students. It was my pleasure. By the sounds of it, they have made remarkable findings, one and all. That is why I would hold an assembly that we might discuss the overarching impact of their research. Such gatherings are how academia evolves and advances, the shared knowledge of our works, be they successes or failures, that all may strive to improve. Precisely. Knowledge begets knowledge. Amassing and combining findings from a host of fields often leads to the creation of entirely new disciplines, one of the very reasons for which the studium was founded. Which brings me to the reason why I asked you here. Might I prevail upon you to speak with the faculty and invite them to this meeting? It would be my pleasure. Excellent! I can think of no one better suited to the task. You were, after all, a key factor in all their successes. Splendid. You have my thanks. Well, that's that then. And you needn't rush to deliver these invitations. Pray, speak with the faculty and students in your own time. When you've finished, return here, and I will see to readying a chamber for the meeting. You got it. I'll start over here. Oops. Maybe in here first. Oh. There we go. Hey, Jude. Jude and Jeremy are doing their thing. Ah, Anne, I must admit, I did not expect to see you here again. I see. I have certainly heard of such events, though I never dared dream a student such as myself would be invited to one. Don't tell me you're getting cold feet already. The Jude I know would relish such a challenge. Perhaps you're right, Jeremy. This would be the perfect opportunity to demonstrate what a boon the Star Lens could be to the academic community. All right then, Jeremy and I will set to work preparing a presentation at once. There it is. There's all that fine sand. Dump that. All right, next. Anne, what a pleasant surprise. Would you care for a quick meal at the last stand to commemorate our reunion? Well, that sounds wonderful. It would be an honor to attend. I may never have a better opportunity to inform my peers of the benefits of fine dining. Perhaps I will invite Professor Galvaroche and a few employees from the last stand to prepare samples of Mervyn bread for those in attendance. In any case, there is much I must do to prepare. Until then, Anne. Oh, can even target the golden diada now. Does it say anything? Rattle, the serpent that sleeps in the deep slowly sheds its skin of old. Eventually, the serpent devours its own tail and renders new flesh using its own. The pain felt will cause the earth to quake, the mountains to crumble, and the rivers to run dry. Thus, 7 wedges must be driven into its back. All right. Well, well, look who it is. To what do I owe the pleasure? Oh, that sounds lovely. At long last, your research will receive the recognition it deserves. Oh, Professor. Oh, Boric, stop. I understand how you feel, but this is no time for tears. Professor Namono will wish to attend as well, like as not. I'll have a word with him and see if we can't prepare a suitable compilation of our works. My, what a surprise! Don't tell me you've come with a souvenir from some far-flung land. Not exactly. Oh, first I am promoted to tenured professor, then this momentous opportunity presents itself to me. Of course I shall attend. Were it not for you, I never would have proven my theory, and I would be a fool to overlook a chance to present my findings. Yes, a bold first step in honoring Professor Nulla's legacy. And it's so good to see you. Lest you wonder, Professor Tankin and I are doing quite well. But to what do we owe the pleasure of your visit? Is that so? I suppose the professor and I could share what we've learned from the various cultures we emulated. Come to think of it, we've yet to share the news of our union either. The proposal was so sudden we scarcely had time to invite any of the faculty, let alone hold a reception. All the more reason we should attend. We will be there, absolutely. Professor Tankin should be most glad to hear about this. Welcome back. Well, what did they say? They said yes. Very good. They have all worked so very hard. It is heartening to see their efforts will be rewarded. The assembly will be held at Aporia in Labyrinthus. I've no doubt they would all be glad for your attendance, so please do stop by if you have time. Oh, before I forget, the Skylark requested you be treated to a meal at the last stand as thanks for your help. As there's still time before they are set to begin, would you care to go now? To the last stand, then. I hope you don't mind, but I've already ordered for the both of us. The meal was meant to be for you alone, but I'm sure the Skylark will forgive me for partaking of his generosity. It's true. My sister has the diet of a savage, naught but rock-hard bread and wildflowers day in and day out. Forgive the interruption, but have we met? I swear you're the spitting image of one of those intrepid adventurers that visited the moon. Aha! I knew it. The name's Searching Way, by the way. Seeker of knowledge and all things curious. A Loporrit! My, if you aren't the most adorable creature! Forgive me, but I cannot help but notice how wonderfully fuzzy your ears are. May I? Again with my ears. Honestly, what is it with you people and... very well. You may rub my ears, but I must insist on something in exchange. Well, some of our finest academics will soon be gathering at Aporia. I've no doubt they have curious and otherwise intriguing things to talk about. I see. May I ask the reason for this meeting of minds? To share their research. Perhaps further explanation is in order. You see, they all did a thing and then another thing. The greatest minds of Aetheris come together to share heretofore unknown knowledge. That really does sound intriguing. And you'd allow me to observe this gathering? You would first need permission from Skylark Monteshane, but... Then what are we waiting for? Where is this Scholar Montechu? It's Skylark Monteshane, and please bear in mind there is a chance he may refuse you. Still, I see no harm in asking. If you would go to Learner's Meet, I will have him to meet us there. Splendid, then let's hop to it then. Right, well, I had better go and... Hold on a moment, I never got to rub his ears. Alright, back over to that place. Back over to the studio. Ah, Chi and Anne, what is it you wish to discuss? Searching Way here is very keen to attend the forthcoming meeting you've arranged with the faculty and students. I came to Aetheris in search of the curious and wondrous, and this place has both in equal measure. What's more, it smells of knowledge. I should certainly hope so. Charlian is known as a great seat of knowledge, and the Studium is the foremost of its many academies. It is our honor and privilege to encourage the scholarly pursuits of students and faculty both, their shared insights giving rise to heretofore unseen disciplines and fields of study. That sounds absolutely fascinating. Oh, please, sir, may I attend this academic meeting of yours? By all means, the more the merrier, I say. Thank you, Scholarch Monteshane. I will inform the relevant parties of his attendance and see to it he has clearance to enter Labyrinthus. Thank you, my dear. 'Tis clear Searching Way is a kindred spirit with a passion for learning, and I could not very well deny him the opportunity to sate his curiosity. Thank you, sir. Thank you. We haven't much time until proceedings get underway. Let's get going, shall we? Absolutely amazing. I've most certainly come to the right place. That's got to be better than carrots. Yeah, check out the big bunny suit there, Loperet. I trust the proceedings were to your liking? Oh, it was magnificent! There's so much we Loperets have yet to see of Aetheris, so much to learn. Earlier you mentioned how they create new disciplines by sharing. Does this mean you plan to have all these people working together in the future? I do indeed. That is precisely why I suggested this meeting of minds in the first place. The exchange of knowledge and ideas will invariably lead to ever greater discoveries. But how exactly do you plan to combine their fields? They seem entirely unrelated to me. Any thoughts? Given all you've seen, I imagine you must have an idea or two as to how to further advance their work. They could explore the great unknowns of the universe. Oh, you've touched on the very heart of learning, my friend. The desire to conquer the unknown is the first step to all great discoveries, and I dare say there is no greater unknown than the great expanse. Well said, Scholar Monteshane. We too have been giving thought as to what our combined efforts might accomplish. It occurred to me that by applying Professor Talaka's research on etheric currents to the data obtained via my star lens, it may be possible to discover other stars capable of supporting life. And we needn't stop there. Thanks to the work done here in Labyrinthus, we know travel to other stars is possible. With sufficient stores of Mervin bread, we could surely weather the journey, however long it may be. A marvelous idea. The Golden Dyada should prove useful should we require the translation of foreign languages we may encounter there among the stars. And if we can communicate with those we encounter, then we would be able to share our cultures with them. You can leave that part to Professor Tankin and me. With you all working together, your chances of encountering heretofore undiscovered intelligent life are better than good, I'd say. But what would you say if you met them? Interesting. I'd tell them about what Median was searching for. That's it! Median was sent out to explore the stars and search for the meaning of life. Sadly, her fruitless quest led her to the very depths of despair. But you could do things differently. You could go and spread the word that hope yet lives on. A most admirable endeavor. And who better than we to see it through? After all, not even the final days could extinguish the flame of life on this star. That was brilliant. Part of me is glad it's finally over, though. Organizing everything was no mean feat. More importantly, I can't quite believe that your offhand suggestion has effectively created an entirely new academic field. But I suppose if anyone should be taken seriously on the subject of seeking out the unknown, then it is you. It's rather exciting to think I might someday help in the exploration of the stars. At any rate, thank you for everything, Anne. Yeah. Oh, but wait. Where is Searching Way? I still need to rub those adorable little ears of his. Ooh, I get a golden dyada. Cool. Overeducated achievement. All right, let's There it is, honorary academic. Let's get a golden diada here. I think I will change my minion to that one. Where's golden diada? There it is. Love it. Well, that's all of the crafting and gathering. It's time to get back to the Endwalker patches now and make our way to the current state of patches here. We are at eye level 595. Hopefully that'll be enough to get us through. We'll see. Right, anyhow, let's we don't need to repair too much stuff here, I think. We've still got Alchemist that needs to level up to 90, but other than that, we're done with crafting and gathering for now. We still got some gear to get, some of the purple script gear, but that's all stuff that I would do offline for this character until either the next patch or next expansion. Alright, let's head over and speak with the Spirited Engineer. First, I think, while we do that, I'll take a quick break for a few minutes here, and I shall return shortly. Thank you for your patience. We're back now. Let's head on over to talk with the Spirited Engineer. So we are, I think we're in like patch 6.3 currently. Here they are. There you are. Your timing couldn't be better. Thanks to Varshan's help, I've managed to finish the repairs faster than I anticipated. The mammoth's ready for the snow once more. You can leave the piloting to me, too. It'd be my pleasure to get you to where you need to go. You are too kind. Thank you. Let's be on our way then, shall we? Boom. Lapis Manalis. Alright. Alright, well, I guess we'll see if we can muddle our way through this one here. Duty support. What's that? Eye level 590. So we're just barely above it. 595 currently. Ooh, who do we got? We've got Zero in there with us. Alphano. Yeah, we might as well use them. We can use that setup. That could be fun. All right, let's see here. Ready, go. All right, wish me luck. We'll see what happens, I guess. Intriguing. Alright, I guess we need to move forward to get this thing underway.
My way. Out of my way!
Ooh. An Albion, okay. Let's see how this looks.
No mercy!
What's he doing? Left slam? Okay.
Out of my way!
Well, we better pay attention to that. What is that? Oh, he's tethered to that. Oh, that's what's going to explode. And then he's going to go to another one, maybe? I guess. Alright. Ooh. We got to get behind one, I guess.
Out of my way!
What do we got? Got stuff coming through there, it looks like. Along with the left slam, or multiple things going on together here. More rumbling, yeah, it's going to come back in here. And let's do the right slam, so get over here.
Out of my way!
You cannot stop us!
Okay, it's going to cause some rocks to come down. And tether the one again, maybe. Yep, looks like it. Alright, and then I'll just hide behind this one, I guess. Interesting. Fall of the Mountain. Is that the one that brings those things here?
No
Yeah, I think
mercy!
so. I mean, what am I hearing? I'm not hearing. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Whoops. Yep. It's not out of the way of that one. There we go. There it is.
You cannot stop us!
Well, that got him. All right. made it through the first boss without, with only just like one really minor flub up there, I think. Guess I could be using my Peloton here too, couldn't I? Ring of aiming. I'll take it. Hey, that'll get us three more eye levels.
You forced my hand.
I forced the hand, have I?
Far enough.
Out of my way.
Okay. Dated records. Assaults from the outside tribes have markedly increased of late. The Geraldines proved an especially barbarous thorn in our sides. Their nigh ceaseless pillaging, no doubt an effort to hoard supplies in preparation for the coming winter. No longer able to tolerate the damages suffered by these incursions, the Senate issued an order for their king's assassination, and we reapers were asked to ready our blades. With 3 of her fellows in tow, Galatea set out under cover of night and infiltrated the enemy fortress. Their mission was a great success, which soon put the enemy to rout. Okay, well, interesting color. More records. And second boss. Okay.
Out of my way.
That's a twist there. Not sure. Okay, I guess we'll stay out of that. Interesting. Okay. Well, that'll keep us on our toes, won't it? Well, I guess I should have run to the other one. Okay. Whoops. Get out of there. Soul Nebula.
Out of my way.
We needed one, I guess. Got the counts above it, you know, so, alright. Let's see who's going. I guess I need to go to this one then. guess I can go to the 1, maybe. Well, that ain't gonna work, I guess. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean. 3 of them gathered under the 1 with 3 dots. I'm not sure why. Maybe that removes that vulnerability. I saw that go on for me. Try it again. All right, try again here. Nebula. Okay. 2 and 1. Okay. I guess I can just try to avoid them. I get maybe that's the number. Oh, those the dots is which one they're going to go to in what order, I guess. Who's going to which one? I'll stand in this one. Gonna head over that way, looks like. And Soul Nebula. Gonna go to this one first. I guess that's all it is, just telling us what number
Out of my way!
Alright, well geez guys. Huh.
I am of the first
Zero like ran all the way across the field just to make sure they could take the one that was near me. You are of the first brood. What's with this glassy eye? Better watch out. Whoops.
Got you!
I am of the first brood.
That was pretty good. All right. Batons of striking. Nope. We descend into the depths, I guess. Into Fons Manalis. All right.
No mercy.
That's far enough!
Well, if we can manage to get through the final boss, that will be another dungeon conquered there.
That's far enough!
And more materia. Oh, goody, goody, goody. All right, see if we can do this.
All shall cower before the might of Archfiend Kanyatso!
Haha. Pagnazzo, Pagnazzo. All right, let's see. Here we go. I'm just changing some stuff here on the display. Okay, let's see what this is all about.
I've been waiting so long! Don't disappoint! Brace yourselves!
Stygian deluge, what's it gonna do?
I bring my wolves to death!
Oh, what's that gonna do? That one popped first, so I guess what we do is watch for stuff. Let's. Okay. Whoa.
I am of the first brood!
You are of the first brood. Okay.
Drink deep of blackest terror!
Oh. I better follow the NPCs, I guess. Just follow them so that I maybe stay out of some of this stuff.
You really must try harder! That was a so whet the appetite!
First tide.
You cannot stop us!
Okay. We're supposed to be trying to take these down.
That's far enough.
No more games!
We didn't quite get them all down.
Be swallowed by the tide! I am of the first brood! Right!
Okay.
How do you like this?
This is gonna be tricky for me, isn't it? Not sure where we're going here.
Out of my way!
I really don't know.
Out of my way!
Okay.
Good, good. The fridging finale. are you still alive?
Those two pop first. And this one. Oh, I didn't get out there fast enough. That lasted 13 seconds.
Got you!
Yeah, I really need to get some healing here, don't I?
Out of my way!
Almost. You're gonna stand still long enough for one of us to do a limit break, I wonder. What's he doing here? Oh God. Damn it. He's gonna try to get me right here at the end, isn't he?
I am of the first brood!
There you go, he's done. Love the music. Definitely love the music. The throwbacks to the older Final Fantasies here are so fun. At least we got through that. We muddled our way through with a little help from the NPCs there. With a lot of help from the NPCs there. Alright, let's see what we get here. Dolmen of Amy. New body piece. Okay. And that puts us at 602. Alright, well that's cool.
Tell me one thing, Cagnazzo. A dragon of our world crossed over into yours long ago, but I have felt her presence here again. What is the meaning of this?
I dare say what you felt was this.
Oh my
By
goodness.
the sisters. What have you done to Ashtaya?
If you want answers, you'll have to get them from Lord Golbez. Assuming you've the strength to face him. A pity I will not see the plan to fruition. But my part is done. And to fight with the thrill of battle in my heart makes it all the more worthwhile.
No! Wait! Where is she? Where is my sister?
At long last, I go to join the great.
By the gates closing, there can be no doubt that he was the one who opened it.
Ajdaya, I prayed we might meet once more.
She is likely still in the void. Take heart. We will find her yet.
So what now?
While you discuss how to proceed with your search, I would excuse myself to look around. There may be salvage that we could use at the camp.
In that case, I'll patrol the area for more voidsent. Very well. Let us take a moment to consider our options.
So, we have discovered the source of the void-sent outbreak in Garlemald. A gate forced open from the void. The barrier between our worlds is especially thin here, I suspect. Elsewise, I see little reason why the Reapers chose to live in such an inhospitable place. Even if the conditions are ideal, we're talking about a gate that could pass an archfiend. Opening one so large could not have been easy. In the Age of Alleg, Emperor Zandi created an enormous portal using a prodigious amount of ether harnessed by the Crystal Tower. In theory, a similar feat should be possible from within the void. One need but have the requisite amount of ether, such as that harbored by a great worm's eye. And its ether is indeed greatly diminished. In Anne's vision, Golbez let his archfiends feed upon Ajdaya's ether. If he has also taken an eye to open this gate... It does not bode well, I know. Nevertheless, we must remain hopeful and continue our search. What I find curious is why our foes chose to strike now, some 5,000 years after Ajdaya vanished into the void. And while their overarching plan remains a mystery, what exactly was Cagnazzo's part in it that he had finished? What's this map look like? Oh. Hey, I can ride my Choco here too. Oh, Ajdaya, what has become of you, that even your eyes should be so spent of ether? I cannot bear the thought of her being held captive a moment longer, but how will I find her? What must I do? Calm yourself, Ritra. I appreciate that you are upset, but such passion clouds your judgment. You must endeavor to remain composed. When your mind is clear, we may consider how to proceed with our search. You're right. In the meantime, I will help Alphino and Alice back at the village. That sounds like a fine idea. We should go as well. Can't fly, but at least we can ride. Or is... Oh, I guess we do have to go back up here. At least it seems so. I don't see Vreetra with you. Is everything all right? He needs a moment to himself. While he is indisposed, we thought we'd lend you a hand. I've just finished patrolling the area, so we're fine on that front. There are no signs of void scent, and I doubt we'll see any more now that the gate has been closed. As for Alphino, he's set his sights on the Cerulean Spring. We're hoping to take as much of the stuff as the snowcraft can bear. That much fuel would keep the people warm for a good while. We've managed to procure a few suitable containers for transporting the ceruleum, and we're about to return to the spring. If you've a mind to scrounge up more containers, I can take what you have now and get them filled. Thank you, Estinian. The more we can load into the snowcraft, the better. Would you and Ishtola mind helping us with our search then? You'll need to take any suitable containers to the spring and then back to the snowcraft once you've filled them with ceruleum. Search for a leak-proof container. Okay. I see a sparkly up ahead here. And I hear an echo. Here we go. Alright. Bottomless barrel. Dilapidated barrel. Now, by bottomless, does that mean it can hold a lot of stuff, or it just has no bottom? Let's see. Hole poked barrel. There's a sturdy barrel. Let's try the sturdy barrel. Appears to be well suited for repurposing. It would be a fine choice. I thought so. I kind of thought so. And they just want us to run around a bit, I guess. The container is now filled to the brim with ceruleum. If that one has been filled, you should hurry and take it to the snowcraft. Justinian has already seen to the rest. Go on ahead. The others ask that I remain here in the event they find more. Well, that was nice of them to port me out like that. The snowcraft is all but overflowing with cerulean containers. Oh really? Could have fooled me. Alright. However, several of your comrades have yet to arrive. Perhaps a nearby vantage point will afford you a more favorable view of their return. Okay.
Is Vitra not back yet?
My apologies for the delay.
Are you all right?
I am. As distressing as this turn of events was, the eye itself gives me cause to hope.
That's right.
While it is no longer possessed of Ashdaya's will, it may yet lead us to her. Were it not for your encouragement, I would never have dared to embark on my search, much less come this far. I will not lose faith. I will find my sister, wheresoever she may be.
We'll return the eye to her, together.
Though tainted, the eye has not fully succumbed to darkness. Ashdaya herself may have been able to resist its influence.
Well, as much as we'd love to take part in your next foray, we can't abandon our efforts here.
Indeed. We'll need to keep a close watch, in case the Void Gate opens again as well. Though should it prove safe to do so, I have some ideas for how we might put this village to use.
Do what you must. We will manage.
To free Ashdaya, I expect we will have to deal with Golbez once and for all. After which you may undertake your work without worry.
We look forward to the glad tidings.
You'll take good care of everyone, won't you?
What? Why do you ask me this?
Because comrades look out for one another, and I can't think of anyone more qualified to keep them safe.
True. I will do no less than I've promised.
If our respective plans are settled, then let us head back.
I suppose this is where we part ways for now. Though we have every faith in you, we will pray for your safety all the same. I'm glad we had the chance to talk, Zero. Take care, and till next time. Till next time. Paths barred. Am I right in assuming that we are to return to the Void? Now that matters here have been settled, yes, but first we should return to Radzat Han to prepare. When everyone is ready, let us convene at Megaduda. And I believe that's where we'll leave it for today. We'll get ourselves ready to pick up there. Let's see, today is Tuesday. We'll resume on Thursday with Final Fantasy XIV. Tomorrow we'll be on day 3 of Radiata Stories here, a new game we just started over the weekend, or I guess Friday anyways. So thank you for your time. I hope you have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you happen to be in the world today. And please join us again. We'd love to have you here. Take care. Bye-bye.